How are we doing, guys? Moose here, season 1. It's episode 1 of our West Ham United FIFA 15 career mode. Finally made the move up to next gen. Obviously, you can see I have a PS4 now, so that's what we will be running this career mode on. So that's fantastic. Obviously, it's gonna be the first episode. I hope you guys are just as excited. So it's gonna be kind of a basic start here. We're just gonna take a look at the club we have. I've also come up with a short list of players that I am interested in, and from there we'll kind of go. And like I said, you know, see the settings that I have not opened the first transfer window. It's closed. So the first couple of things I really want to address is I want to get a top-notch scout. I don't see a ton of moves happening this year, depending on the funds we have. Like I said, the transfer window will open in January, so that's when you'll probably see the little bit of moves and things. But you know, I like having it like this to start the season off, just because we get to see the teams as they are in real life for a little bit before we get the whole thing running here. I have set the Champions League to be as close as possible to real life. I have all the normal teams in there in the correct groups and everything. The only things I wasn't able to put in was your small teams like Ludogorets and teams like that who got into the Champions League. And also Malmo, I couldn't put in the Champions League because it wouldn't let me put them into the Champions League. It had to leave them in the Europa League just because of the way the first season Champions League set up. But that said, that's all set up, so we can kind of see how that pans out, obviously, here in the game. And from there, we'll just get everything going. So can't wait to get this underway. But first thing we're going to do is take a look at the budget we have, as well as the emails from the club, just so we can see what they want from us. As you can see, they want a round of 16 run, then Domestic Cup, which I think is very fair. I would love to even make a better run than that, just get a little bit of silverware here in the first season if we can. We get some notes from our scouts here. They think we should look for a fullback. Obviously, I'll discuss what I think we need here in just a second. We also get a note from one of our scouts introducing himself, and then our league objective will be to finish mid-table, which I think is definitely something that we should be aiming for. I think anything better than mid-table, you know, 8th would be ideal. Somewhere in the 8th range, I think, would be great for us here in the first season, especially with some of the new players that have been brought in for this year. I think that'd be a huge way to go about it, would be 8th. But obviously anything mid-table should suffice to keep us around for another season. So with that said, we're going to go ahead, take a look at the first thing. Like I said, I want to talk about is a youth scout. So if there's a top youth scout available right now, we're just going to go ahead and do that, just so you guys know, and then we'll take a look at what we have left budget-wise. I think we have $9.5 million, as well as $90K in the wage budget. So there you go. There's no top scouts available, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until a 5-star scout becomes available, or at least 5-star 4-star combo comes available, and then buy that scout. So you might see that within a week, you might see it within 2 weeks. Either way, we're going to go ahead and do that. That's going to be how we're going to address this. So it might happen in this episode, it might not, depending on the length of the episode. But next thing we're going to do is take a look at our squad. We're going to do a squad report just to get a look at all the players we have. And we're actually just going to sort it by position to start it off here, so we can go through and see what we have player-wise. Adriano, obviously our starting goalkeeper, 76 overall. He's fantastic. Only 27 years of age, so he should be someone that we're comfortable leading our team for the majority of this career mode, to be honest. I could see him, you know, if somebody came with a big offer for him, maybe he might be leaving. But other than that, I see him as our top goalkeeper for a long time. Yaskaline, I'd love to keep him around for another season if he decides, just because he'd be a great backup goalkeeper to keep around. If not, we may be in the market for a second-string keeper once Yaskaline retires. Then Spiegel obviously is our third string. Right back here is an interesting point. You're going to see, like they said, that we probably need a fullback. I agree with them, because if you take a look at what we have right back, we have Demel, who's 33 years old. He's 70 overall. He's a good player. He plays really well on FIFA, but he's 33 years old, and so he's not going to be around very long. Carl Jenkinson's fantastic. He's 71 overall with plenty of room to grow. He's only 22 years old. But the issue with him is he's on loan from Arsenal, so if he has a great season, I would love to buy him. The question will be, how much will he cost? Will Arsenal be willing to sell him, because of the fact that he is a rival, as FIFA defines it? He's a team in London, and you've seen in past FIFAs, when you try to buy an Arsenal player with a West Ham or with a Tottenham, things like that, they don't want to sell to you because you are a rival. So we'll see if that is able to pan out. Center back, we're pretty set here in the top 2 pairing at least. James Tompkins is fantastic. 73 overall. I think he plays really well. Reed plays really well as well. He's 75. Is obviously kind of the leader of our defensive line. I think we have to watch with him is just make sure he doesn't get caught out of position on occasion. But other than that, fantastic. Tompkins, great backup, good depth, 74 overall, but he's age 30, so I'd love to bring in another center back just to give us a little bit more depth, because then you can see it's this significant drop-off. Obviously, some youth here. We have Reese Burke, who's only 54 overall, but he's got plenty of room to grow. He's only 17, as well as Leo Chambers, who we'd love to loan those guys out. Obviously, I probably want to keep one of them just to allow for some depth, but definitely need to loan a couple players out. Then Cresswell, one of our new buys, fantastic player, unbelievable pace, love that. Good work on the ball, actually, has good crossing, good tackling as well, and marking, so he's a good defensive player, someone that I can see growing into our left back position. Obviously has a lot of potential, and not something I see a need to upgrade really soon. Joey O'Brien, also a good backup. He can play on the left side or the right side, so he's a nice depth player if DeMel were to retire or we were to lose Jenkins in the fill-in position. Danny Potts in the back. This is a huge acquisition here. Alex Song on loan from Barcelona. The thing with him is he's 26 years old, but he's 80 overall. He's a £9 million value. He's the kind of player that is going to make a huge contribution to our team this season, and the issue with him is if he does play as well as he can, will we be able to retain him for next season? I know in real life West Ham have an option to buy on him. Excuse me, but I don't know if we'll be able to afford that kind of option, just because in real life I don't know what the option to buy cost is. It's probably going to be less than what it is here in the game, so we'll see if we can retain him for next season, or if we even want to retain him for next season. But he's going to be a player that's going to be a huge integral part for us, and it's a huge loan signing, a real steal for West Ham. Poyet, another youth guy that's going to come up, should grow into the team. We'll get him some experience in the cup games, and he should be very strong. Kiyate, he's a guy that plays above his rating. He's only 71 overall, but he's just an absolute monster, a tank defensively, loves getting forward as well, so he's a really good player and should be in our lineup week in, week out. Malfitano, a huge deadline day signing actually was for West Ham. That's going to be a really good player. He's got decent pace. His technical stats are all in the greens. Look at them. They're fantastic ball control, crossing. So he's a player that can slot in a wide position as well as do a job kind of for us anywhere we really need to ask of him. He should be a good player. So at age 29, he's a good depth player. We don't know how long he'll be with us, but he's a good acquisition to the squad. Same with Stuart Downing, 77 overall. He's a fantastic player. You can see, obviously, in real life in the performance he's put forth for West Ham, how good he is and how big he could be to our team. 29, though, so it could be a position where we need some depth. Vaste doesn't have a real future at the club. Obviously, he was a huge servant to us getting back to the Premier League, but now that we've gotten there, he doesn't seem to be Premier League quality and wouldn't be in the squad too often. Turgot, another youth player. Mark Noble, the West Ham talisman, West Ham through and through. He's just an absolute fantastic player. Should be in the England squad, in my opinion, but he's someone who, once again, is going to be in our lineup week in and week out. Leggett, some more youth players. Moncur on loan. Jarvis, a good wing player. We'll see how much we actually use the wings, because you can see West Ham in real life have kind of run a 4-1-2-1-2, the narrow diamond formation, which doesn't really incorporate the wingers. But we do have guys who can play out on the wing, as in Downing, who's been playing in more of a cam position, Jarvis, who can play on the left, and Malfitano. So we do have some quality wide men. They're a little bit older, both 29, 28 years old, but Jarvis has that pace, that ability to use him out on the wings to good advantage. So he's going to be a key player in our team. We also have Ravel Morrison, which, if he can sort out his personal business, he's going to be an absolute tank for us. I'll tell you what, he's a fantastic player, unbelievable potential, good technical attributes, great pace. Would be someone that I hope can really make an impact on this team in the future, as long as he keeps his head on his shoulders. Kevin Nolan, obviously the captain. Arguably, I'm going to go with Mark Noble as captain, because Nolan, as of right now, is not in my starting lineup, but he does have that ability to come into the team. He's a good quality player. Obviously, doesn't have that pace that we need, but he does have a ton of technical ability, as well as good positioning, which is fantastic. He's a good player that when we bring in Andy Carroll, he'll work well with him, but if we're using our other strikers, our quicker, pacier strikers, he might not fit into that lineup. So it's kind of a game-by-game basis with him. We also have new boys, Diafra Sacco and Enter Valencia. Valencia, I'll tell you what, from looking at his abilities and playing a few games with him, he is fantastic to play with. He's got that pace, that breakaway speed, and then he does have some good finishing ability. I'll tell you what, though, his jumping stats should be about 99, because this is a player that he's 5'10", 5'11", but he gets up there with the 6'3", 6'4" guys. It's unbelievable. So he's a fantastic player. He should have even better headers in my opinion. But he's going to be a huge striker that we can play him alongside Sacco. We can play him alongside Carroll. I don't know how I'll feel about playing him up there by himself. We'll probably want to use him in more of a two-striker situation, whereas Carroll would be our go-to guy if we're going one striker, because you can see Carroll just has that ability to be a target man, and he's going to be a huge player for us. So that's kind of our striker lineup. Obviously, those three are our key strikers. Then we have Zarate, who's listed as a striker, but in my opinion, he fits in more of as a cam because he doesn't have a ton of strength. He doesn't have that breakaway sprint speed, so I don't think he's a fantastic striking option. I think playing him in the hole behind the strikers is his best position. So we have a lot of depth in that cam, as well as attacking midfield positions that we'll have to fight for places, I'll tell you what. And then Carlton Cole is just a good depth player. Obviously, he might get into a couple cup games, some injury problems. He'd be in the lineup. Other than that, not going to do too much for us. And that's pretty much the whole squad. Obviously, Maiga out on loan. He'll probably be sold. I think his contract ends at the end of the season, so he'll be moving on. But definitely some quality. I think the areas where we need to improve our depth on the wings, because we do have three good wingers, Malfitano, Downing, and Jarvis, but not much after them. Same with fullbacks. We're going to need a right back, no question about that. And also potentially midfield depth behind guys like Kiate, Song, and Noble. Maybe some depth there. I think central midfielders would be a huge acquisition as well. So we don't need a ton of starters so much as we need to improve our depth, as well as maybe improve in terms of fullbacks. But other than that, that's really what we're looking at. So with that, we're going to take a look at our short list now, probably close out this episode for us here. Obviously, I have it sorted by position. We're starting off here goalkeeper. Just, Jack Butland obviously would be a fantastic, great potential of a player. Honestly, I know he'd cost a lot to bring in, so he's really not one of our top priorities, but someone we could look at. Right back is huge, and this is kind of a thing where we're not going to be able to bring him in right away because we have Jenkinson for the season, so this is probably going into next year. We're going to scout these players and see, number one, how much they're going to cost. Will they fit into our budget? And number two, do they have the ability to fit into our team? So some players that I like: Nathaniel Klein from Southampton, Cancelo, who's actually from Benfica, but he's on loan at Valencia. Byram from Leeds, I think he'd be a little cheaper option, which would be fantastic. He does have good growth ability. Cedric, who is he's more well-rounded, better player at this moment in time, but will he have that ability coming up in the future? We'll see. Adam Matthews would be fantastic. I love him. He's got great pace, good stamina. He loves getting in there, good abilities. And I think he'd be a little bit cheaper. Plus, he would love the opportunity to come over from Celtic and make an impression in the BPL. Like I said, center back depth, obviously behind Collins. We don't have a ton there. So John Anthony Brooks, the American, would be someone I would love to bring in if we have the funds. Obviously, wide midfielders I was talking about, Joshua Gow would be huge. He doesn't have a ton of potential here, but he just has the ability that really shows himself off in the pace. And obviously, he's our huge talisman in FIFA 14, so he gets a shout out there. Joel Campbell, potentially from Arsenal. His contract is actually expiring at the end of the year, so we could potentially get him on a free transfer. Florian Thauvin or Gökhan Tor. Tor is my ideal player I want to bring in. You look at his statistics, and he is an absolute tank. He has that pace that you want in a winger, but he also has the technical abilities that are fantastic. He's probably my ideal player I want to bring in. The question is, how much will he cost? That may play an impact as to whether we can do that or not. But he's kind of my ideal midfielder I want to bring in. Ward-Prowse is the central midfielder. He might be my number one target, to be honest, because we could play that narrow diamond, like I said, and he would fit right in there in central midfield. He is absolutely unbelievable. Great potential. His ball striking ability is fantastic. Free kicks are really good, which is, we do need a good free kick taker. I think right now we just have Downing and then Zarate and Noble or decent at free kicks, but other than that, we don't have a ton of free kick there, so he'd be huge. Rabiot's another player that has a lot of ability, a lot of potential from PSG. He's also going to be on a free transfer potentially at the end of this season, so we might be able to bring him in on a free. Love to bring in him and Ward-Prowse, to be honest, would be huge for us. Then Will Hughes, another player. He's like a cheaper version, I think, of Ward-Prowse, so he'd be kind of our second option behind Ward-Prowse if we can't bring him in. Back to wide midfielders. Redmond from Norwich City is a fantastic player, good pace. Really loves to get up the wings and attack players, so he'd be huge. Dali from Cardiff. Zaha's probably my number one option from left midfield. I love to bring him in. Doesn't seem to be slotting into that Manchester United team, so once he comes back off loan from Crystal Palace, I'd love to bring him in. Also Connor Wickham from Sunderland. If we take a look at striker options, Lacazette, obviously, who is he just holds a special place in my heart because of his ability as a striker for us in the past. Locadia from PSV would be another huge option. Then Bruma, he's listed as a left winger, but I kind of had him alongside my left wing options. He has tons of pace, bags of pace, and would be another great option. So that's kind of what we're looking at in our short list. Obviously, you've seen our goals for the season as well as our team. So what I want you to do, let me know in the comments who you would first of all like to go after in terms of my shortlist targets. Do you have any suggestions of your own, as well as where do you think our squad needs to improve? Should we sell anyone? What should we go about as the season goes on? So be sure to let me know that. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for our future videos here as we get this career mode up and underway. So thanks guys, hope you have enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.